Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Hello, Catholic pilgrims. How are you doing today? Welcome back to day 34 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. Today's show is sponsored by Feast Day Boxes. I came into contact with Feast Day Boxes probably about maybe 4 years ago, and what they are is it's a company that helps you to celebrate feast days, and they have boxes that are filled with all kinds of different things. Sometimes it's coffee, sometimes it's special pretzel mixes, sometimes it's books. They have all kinds of neat and inventive ways to help you celebrate feast days in your home in a fun way. And they're one of those things where kids love getting them in the mail. But the thing that I love the most from Feast Day Boxes is they have the high mass candles, and they smell just like church. And my family, we got some when the lockdowns first started back in March. We lit the candles during, watching Mass online, and it helped enhance our experience because it smelled just like church. So please check them out at www.feastday.co. Okay, so yesterday was deep, and we're going deeper today. So yes, today is going to be an even deeper look at a soul that is in torments. And our numbers today are going to be from Notebook 1, numbers 98 through 100. So it starts at the trial of trials. When the soul comes out victorious from the preceding trials, even though it may stumble here and there, it fights on valiantly, humbly calling upon God. Save me, I am perishing, but it is still able to fight on. At this point, however, the soul is engulfed in a horrible night. It sees within itself only sin. It feels terrible. It sees itself completely abandoned by God. It feels itself to be the object of his hatred. It is but one step away from despair. The soul does its best to defend itself. It tries to stir up its confidence, but prayer is an even greater torment for it, as this prayer seems to arouse God to an even greater anger. The soul finds itself poised on the summit of a lofty mountain, on the very brink of a precipice. The soul is drawn to God but feels repulsed. All other sufferings and tortures in the world are as nothing compared with this sensation into which it has been plunged, namely that of being rejected by God. No one can bring it any relief. It finds itself completely alone. There is no one to defend it. It raises its eyes to heaven but is convinced that this is not for her. For her, all is lost. It falls deeper and deeper from darkness to darkness, and it seems to it that it has lost forever the God it used to love so dearly. This thought is torture beyond all description, but the soul does not agree to it and tries to lift its gaze towards heaven, but in vain, and this makes the torture even more intense. If God wishes to keep the soul in such darkness, no one will be able to give it light. It experiences rejection by God in a vivid and terrifying manner. From its heart burst forth painful moans, so painful that no priest will comprehend it unless he himself has been through these trials. In the midst of this, the evil spirit adds to the soul's suffering, mocking it. Will you persist in your faithfulness? This is your reward. You are in our power. But Satan has only as much influence over the soul as God allows him, and God knows how much we can bear. What have you gotten out of your mortifications, says Satan, and out of your fidelity to the rule? What use are all these efforts? You have been rejected by God. This word, rejected, becomes a fire which penetrates every nerve to the marrow of the bone. It pierces right through her entire being. The ordeal reaches its climax. The soul no longer looks for help anywhere. It shrinks into itself and loses sight of everything. It is as though it has accepted the torture of being abandoned. This is a moment for which I have no words. This is the agony of the soul. When for the first time this moment was drawing near, I was snatched from it by virtue of holy obedience. The directress of novices, alarmed by my appearance, sent me off to confession, but the confessor did not understand me, and I experienced no relief whatsoever. Oh, Jesus, give us experienced priests. When I told this priest I was undergoing infernal tortures, he answered that he was not worried about my soul because he saw in it a great grace of God. But I understood nothing of this, and not even the least glimmer of light broke through to my soul. Then my physical strength began to fail me, and I could no longer carry out my duties. Nor could I any longer hide my sufferings. Although I did not say a word about them, the look of pain on my face betrayed me. The superior told me that the sisters had come to her, saying that when they look at me in the chapel, they are moved to pity because I look so terrible. Yet despite all efforts, the soul is unable to conceal such suffering. Okay, so like we had talked several podcasts back when she went through something similar to this, what she's showing us is what hell looks like. This is what a soul in hell would experience because like we talked about before, just to recap, here on earth, even those that are, turned away from God, they still get to experience his goodness because they're in his created world. But, at our death, if hell is where we are sent because of mortal sin, this is what our soul will experience. And she talks about how there aren't even words to describe the feeling, the agony of the soul. And, why I think this is so important to read now, it's depressing and we don't like to think of it. But it seems to me as our world moves farther and farther away from God, we see a lot of people whose souls seem to be in this state. And I don't know if they even realize it, but when we look around us, we see people in despair, misery, hopelessness. They're lost. They have no purpose. Suicide rates are just skyrocketing. Depression rates are skyrocketing. And a lot of that, has to do with some of the COVID issues that we're having. But even before that, we were experiencing these problems. And, I think as the secular culture and atheism has grown and people are walking away from God, their souls are experiencing what she's talking about here, but I don't even think that they recognize and realize what's going on because it's not the full plunge into hell because they still can experience the goodness of God's creation. But we still see these just weak and almost blackened souls. And, this is what, our confirmation, the sacrament of confirmation, why we take it is so that we can go out and fight evil in the world. It's supposed to strengthen us. And so, when we see these souls that are just lost and they're searching for what they think is going to make them happy, but they're not finding it and they have no purpose because all there is this life and hey, live it up, and that doesn't really satisfy. This is where we come in. It's a delicate situation. It is hard as all get out to get someone whose soul is in this state to realize that it's God they're seeking. I have friends that have gone down this path and I still haven't seen them turn around, and I have tried, but I've gotten to the point now where all I can do is pray. And pray that their hearts will be opened. Pray that they might see a witness in me. Let me be that vessel that shows them Christ. That's all I can do now because they don't want to hear what I have to say anymore. They're so steeped in this darkness and they just seem lost to me. But, God knows. So he knows that they can be saved. He can do the impossible. So, and one thing for me is when I see souls in this state, not quite, at the depths of hell, but, on their way there, I get so frustrated with them because they won't listen to reason. They won't listen to anything you have to say. They just want to live in the world and of the world and all that. And they can be so frustrating because you just want to shake them and say, don't you get it? This isn't it. This life isn't it. And if you don't turn it around, this is what I fear for you. And sometimes that frustration is, keeps me from loving them right, being charitable. I can lose my temper with them. I can, I have moments where I give up on them. And then, months later, God will place them on my heart again and I'll come back and pray for them. So if you have people in your life like that, Catholic pilgrims, pray for them. Pray for them, pray for them. And pray that God might use you or someone else to bring them back. And trust in His mercy, trust in His goodness, that He will find ways to plant seeds in their souls. So keep them in your prayers. I know it's hard sometimes when they just seem completely obstinate and, unwilling to listen. But we've got to hang in there and have hope for them, even if they don't have it for themselves. So I will see you back here tomorrow for day 35. And until then, Catholic pilgrims, live the faith boldly and travel well.